Super Dog Booby, or Super Dog Booby Akachan Daiboken no Maki, or Super Dog Booby The Tale of Baby's Great Adventure, was a cancelled Famicom game that was set to release in May of 1991. And yes, that was really the title of the game. The game was being developed and published by Jaleco. But what's so interesting about this game besides its funny title? Well, I have no clue why this game was cancelled at all. There are loads and loads of screenshots of it from magazines, so many in fact, that I think it would be boring to cover them all. But this makes it very clear that this game should have been released and was almost finished. The game also appears very briefly in a computer software group video that basically just seems like a catalog for games that were releasing in spring of 1991. It was also playable at Nintendo's 1991 Famicom Space World event, so a prototype of that version has to exist. So what was this game about? So the plot seems to follow Booby, the family dog, as the baby Alfred has gone missing after Alfred's mother falls asleep. So it's up to Booby to go get him, right? Booby just runs through town fighting hordes of enemies to rescue Alfred, right? Ooh, this sounds fun! No, Alfred's fine. The game revolves around Booby beating up enemies and leading Alfred to a safe place. It's an entire game that seems to be an escort mission. To be fair, maybe it's more of a Yoshi's Island type escort mission, but still, that sounds kind of annoying. It also seems like Booby would be unable to jump, as the A button would kick. I like the comic book art style, and Booby himself seems to be a very expressive character. This was around that Street Fighter II and Sonic the Hedgehog time period, where people were thirsty for expressive playable characters in action games. So why was the game cancelled? Well, trust me, it wasn't because of the title if that's what you're thinking. There's plenty of other Famicom games with questionable titles that still got released, like Star Luster, Just Breed, and Booby Kids. And this was the 90s, you know damn well they were gonna rename everything in the West, probably even the baby. The other probable reason is the reason most Famicom games made in the 90s got cancelled. The Super Famicom was already out. However, I don't think that would affect Super Dog Booby that much. By this point, the Famicom was seen as the place to dump cheap games for younger kids, while the Super Famicom was seen as the place to dump all of the big AAA games. Obviously, you don't want your Final Fantasy game releasing on the Famicom at this time, but it wouldn't hurt to put a Hello Kitty game on it. And Super Dog Booby just seems like a silly little game that wouldn't hurt Jaleco to release. However, the game kept getting delayed, first to June, then to July, then the game was cancelled. So this would lead you to believe that the game wasn't finished and ready for release, but all of the magazine screenshots, the short footage, and a build of the game being playable at Space World leads me to believe that wasn't true, but who knows? In my opinion, it's only a matter of time before a Famicom collector stumbles across a prototype cart and the game gets dumped. Unless said collector is a jerk and won't share it, I see no reason why we wouldn't receive a build of this game fairly quickly. Well, besides Super Dog Booby, there's other cancelled Jaleco games I want to talk about. The first would be Ambition of the Wolves, which was supposed to release in 1990 and would have been a baseball-themed adventure game. City Connection, the company that now owns Jaleco's IP, had a live stream channel called Game Cruisin' that streamed the game 3 times in 2017, but now these streams are also lost media as they haven't been archived. Then there's Soldom, a Famicom port of their arcade puzzle game that would have released in 1993. It was probably cancelled because of how late it would have been released in the Famicom's lifespan. The soundtrack for this version was actually released in 2017, which you're hearing now. As for these two games being found though, the president of City Connection, Nobuhiro Yoshikawa, tweeted out in 2019 how he wanted to release Ambition of the Wolves and the Famicom Soldom on modern platforms. That obviously hasn't happened. I guess they didn't plan on releasing Super Dog Booby though. The Famicom Soul-DOM was announced to be released on the second volume of City Connection's Famicom ROM cassette collection series released for the Switch, but 5 years later, the second and third volumes haven't released. But July 4th of this year, 2024, a prototype ROM was sold on Yahoo Auction for 700,000 yen. This leads me to believe that there's some shady stuff going on behind the scenes, but we can never be sure. Anyways, I hope this video sparks up more interest in these games. This video is part of this year's Nintendo November series, where I cover canceled and lost NES games. So check out the rest when they come out if you're interested. Also, comment if you caught this video's Easter egg. Thanks for watching.